Welcome to Cinemaphile, where we bring you the best in independent, documentary, and foreign films, and we talk to the people who made them. I'm your host, Mike Caspar, and you can find out more about the program by going to cinemaphilepod.com. Due to the ongoing housing crisis in the U.S., many people are forced to live in rundown hotels known as flophouses. 12-year-old Mikal shares a small, inexpensive room in one of these hotels with his parents and their cat, Smokey. Their home is marked by chaos and alcohol abuse, but also love and the hope for a better future. Director Monica Strømdahl has spent years traveling across the U.S. documenting life in these hotels. 8 years ago, she met Mikal, one of many children growing up in this environment. The film is called Flophouse. We're joined today by the director, Monica Strømdahl. Monica, welcome to the program. Welcome to Cinephile.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a great honor, Mike.
Well, it's my honor. These are the kind of films that when I come across them, I want to nurture them. I want to make sure that they get the kind of recognition to the best of my ability that they deserve. I just love the film. And in some ways, it is very much kind of a throwback documentary in the sense it's observational. Access is so important. How you develop the relationships that you do with the people we see in the film is the mark of a great filmmaker and a great humanitarian as well. Tell me, Monica, how you came to this story, how it became what we know as Flophouse America.
So I have always been interested in what is a home, like these four walls that we are born in need of. Like we need food and we need shelter. This shelter, what does it mean to us? What is it that makes us feel like we belong? And it was a coincidence that I, as a photography student, came to New York in 2005 and I needed a really cheap place to stay. So I checked into the cheapest place to stay and I found there in the hotel, in these small box rooms with chicken wire as a ceiling and padlocks on the door, I found people who had been living for 5, 10, 15, 20 years in these tiny, tiny rooms in lack of a better option. So this was a temporary solution for them that unfortunately became permanent because it is so hard to climb the ladder, and especially in the city. So I got to know them and I started photographing, and I came back. Every time I came back to New York, I would stay in the same hotel. And when it shut down due to gentrification in 2013, I set out to document the lifestyle of this extremely marginalized group that is per definition homeless. So I did this on and off for, like you say, like 15 years. I would go to a different state, a different city. My method was always the same. I check into the hotel and I stay for weeks until somebody there, wants to get to know me, likes the project, wants to share their story, and for me to photograph them. It was on one of these journeys that I happened to meet Mikal. Like he was 11 at the time, and my room happened to be across their room, the family's room. And I have met a lot of children over the years who live in this situation, but he was the first one that was born into the hotel room. Like these hallways, he learned to walk there. This is where the foundation of his life is built. And not only was he born into the poverty, but he had an extra hurdle to overcome in his life, and that was his parents' alcohol addiction. So he was a boy. I saw him as an extremely school smart, street smart, emotionally intelligent young man who had learned to navigate his own reality and his parents' reality. And he was so clear that he knew that he deserved something better. And his parents, that they dreamed about is to give their son a better childhood than they had endured. And in many ways, they succeeded. But we see in the film that it's not enough for Mikal, and he struggles for them to change their ways so he can have his needs met. And he was on the search for something better. And I saw, the generational trauma at play. And I saw how difficult it is to climb and to break out of the generational cycle. But he was fighting for a better tomorrow. And I guess the film, it's an attempt to search with him. it started as an attempt. I didn't know that it would be finished, but I wanted to try. That's how I found them. So ultimately it's this family's strengths. It's Michael's strength that maybe want to work with them and make a film. And the intention is to give a face to the vast numbers of children who grow up in emotional instability and financial instability, because the statistics, the numbers, they don't move. They don't move you, and you might forget the numbers, but you will not forget Michael's face and his story. So, and it's completely universal. Like the statistics that I have in the beginning of the film, the numbers are not that far off where I'm from in Norway. We can look at how the social structures and the support systems in anywhere, how the cracks in our foundation of society are being formed, and we can talk about what do we do to be better? What do we do as a society to capture, and the families that fall through these cracks? How can we be better?
Intimate in the way that this film is shot is barely covers it. The fact that you are in a very small room, very small area, and you, as you're documenting their lives, is remarkable, logistically as well as emotionally and psychologically. It is really, truly a testament to your ability to be comfortable, or them to be comfortable with you, but for you to understand how this is going to work out, how it plays out. And just my admiration to you as just as a filmmaker, and your ability to find this space that you really maximize in terms of telling their story is remarkable. What was Jason and Tanya's initial reaction, or what was this process of becoming comfortable, them becoming comfortable with you, et cetera, in this process?
Thank you for that question. I'm I'm deeply aware of the power of a camera and the power that I have when I'm in the room as a filmmaker. And I was very focused, and I always am, to shift that power from me and the camera and to the family, to the people that I am working with, because it is such a private and vulnerable situation that we're in. And I didn't want them to feel any politeness towards me. I wanted them to feel comfortable enough to tell me to stop filming, even though I had traveled far. I wanted them to be free, to feel free to tell me to stop, and to tell me on days that they didn't feel like they wanted to film. So the key to the access, I think the short answer is time. Like, I spent a lot of time together with the family. I spent 3 weeks with the family before I photographed the first portrait of Michael. And that portrait has become the poster for the film. This was like even before I knew it would be a film. And I made one portrait of him, and I left the hotel. I continued my journey, but I couldn't forget about them. And we kept in contact for about a year. And then I came back, and then we decided to make the film together. I find that when I work together, I worked a lot here in the US through other photography projects as well. And I feel like whoever I meet, there is a deep understanding of what photography is and what documentary is. And I feel like they felt important when I was there. I feel like they felt seen, they felt empowered, and they thought that I came to their home because they had a story to tell. And I was curious to listen. And I think that that empowered them. So they wanted me there. That's another huge, important key to the access we're talking about. They really wanted me there. So when I asked them to try to just continue live life as if I wasn't there, obviously I'm there in the room, but in the film I tried to make myself invisible. But they took that to heart, and and they did that the best they could. But they like the idea, they believe that by showing a problem can we talk about it and maybe make attempts to fix it. They saw themselves from the outside, they knew the situation that they were in, and they thought it was important to share. The trust was personal. I mean, I showed up there and I wanted to spend the time and I was accepted. So they very much welcomed me into their home on the foundation of both the idea that sharing is openness is important for the society to be able to become better. And also they thought that it was, great that I spent this time trying to understand how we are as people together. So that was the long answer to that. And I guess
That's a
the
great
short.
answer. I occasionally come across, the poverty rate in America, the statistics are staggering. They really are staggering. I
Yeah.
think
And
30% of Americans live in some degree of economic insecurity and or food insecurity. It's staggering when you think that there's 300 million people and 30% of those are on the edge.
difficult to build on a foundation of poverty.
Yeah, that is true. We are a country of the haves and the have-nots in ways that are unprecedented, maybe since the Great Depression. I don't know the statistics well enough to make that as an absolute, but I do know it seems to be getting worse. And now, as we face the uncertainty of artificial intelligence and the impact on the workforce, this number is almost certainly likely to grow. And I really want to underscore this for anyone listening to our conversation. For whatever reason, Monica, your presence there spurred them and or they're predisposed to the honesty that we see in the film with one another, with their situation, with their addictions, is such a, and gift isn't the right word, but it's certainly revelatory. It's certainly important to the success of this film. They are honest with each other in the parts of the film that we see them having some very difficult conversations. And also Michael's frustration as a child, basically, who's living in a very adult situation. It's
Yeah.
really, truly breathtaking to see, to watch.
Thank you. I mean, the responsibility that lies on Michael as a child, his shoulders, to be an adult in the room is immense.
It
And
is.
this ability will follow him for the rest of his lives. And, I want to show that it's how complex it is, how difficult it is, how difficult it will be for him, because we don't start equal. There is nothing as equal. So,
And he has this angelic face. He has a beautiful face. I love look. I mean, the picture that we see, as you mentioned, as the poster, it's really. I'm not sure how I would describe the way he looks, but it is. I would call it angelic. I don't know if another word fits it better than that for me.
well, I did make the portrait first, and when I looked at the photograph, I saw this young man he was so unbothered by the camera. He didn't care, like he wasn't distracted by being in the presence of someone who was a photographer. He just kept living his life, and it comes through in the photograph. That was also a big importance why it was possible to work with them in their triangle of communication, which is like so emotionally open. I just try to adapt to them and their openness and their communication. So they really showed me a way to be together as a family. And I just this honesty is what I tried to just adapt with the camera.
By the way, I just want to remind our listeners we're speaking with Monica Strømdahl. She is the director of this remarkable documentary film called Flophouse America, and it is screening at the DOCNYC Film Festival. To my mind, the premier film festival for documentaries in of the year. Every year, it's an amazing array, and it's a lot of documentary films that and filmmakers that make their presence known at this festival. And if you're hearing our conversation, I urge you to seek out Flophouse America. It is one of those films that will move you, and it will also give you an on-the-ground sense of what it is to wake up in chaos, to go to bed in chaos, and to not have the opportunities or the whatever else that may go into making your life better, whether it be an addiction, whether it be mental illness, whatever it might be, This is the reality for so many millions of Americans. So, any is that a fair way to put what I just said?
Thank you. That's very. I feel honored to hear such nice words.
Well, please, the honor is mine again, I really hope that all of the things that you've been able to accomplish here resonate with people that are at the festival and beyond. There's an arc to all of their stories, and Jason and Tanya have an honesty that is at times heartbreaking and at other times loving. And I don't know,
Yeah,
is that just a byproduct of the situation of the addictions, whatever it might be? What would you ascribe that this sort of back and forth that they have with one another? They do love each other. I think they do love each other anyway.
absolutely. Jason and Tanya, before they had Michael, they were, they struggled from an early age. They were both homeless for many years. It was when Tanya became pregnant with Michael that they decided to move into the hotel room to create a safe childhood home for their child. So, they really tried and they really do the best to their ability with what they have. But they are also marked by the traumas of their own upbringing. And they have such high expectations of Michael when it comes to, school, because they are able, they have the ability, they are born with tools, and they want him to do well. They want the best for him. But still, we see that for Michael, that's not enough, and he dreams of a better life for himself and his future children. I always admire them for their openness and how they treat Michael as an equal, too much as an equal at times, but they do give him the floor to express his feelings. He's not a silenced child. From before he learned to speak, they taught him simple sign languages so he can express what his needs, such as, something to drink, something to eat. Like communication has been key in their relationship always, and they expect him to speak up for himself and to say what he needs. And I think that's so admirable. He's not looked down on at all. And yeah. And
Yeah.
the sad thing is that if they had only listened to him, the outcome would have been something different, possibly.
There's a couple of moments there's more than a couple of moments, there's a lot of moments, but there's some key points in the film where Michael is the adult in the room. And there's a particularly in over as the film winds down, I don't want to give anything away, but at all. I hope I don't. But there's a conversation that happens between his mom that's heartbreaking. I think you know what I'm talking about. The moment to the lack of reciprocation, let's put it that way, is something that's pretty devastating. Yeah, there's just a lot here. It really, if you can't respond to this film, I feel sorry for you because it is about us humans, our frailties, and by the grace of God, there goes, someone else who, and my life, I just there's a lot here. I guess I'm struggling to just kind of summarize it, but the film again, Flophouse America, is at the DOCNYC Film Festival. You can go online to watch these films as well, so you don't have to be in New York. Have you secured distribution for the film?
We have not yet. That is a great dream. We do have distribution in Europe. We are waiting and hoping for distribution here in the US as well.
I hope and pray that you get it. It more than deserves distribution wherever you want it to be seen. And I don't know what else to say except congratulations on a terrific film. I'm sure this took a lot out of you as well in the process of being there and making this film. Monica, how are you doing?
I just feel like, firstly, that it's such a privilege to be able to get close to people with the camera as a tool, like I did in this one. It's a privilege to be able to travel and to spend time to sit with people and to listen and learn. I am in awe of people who invite us filmmakers into their personal space, and it's not a given that it is like this. We don't know what the future brings. So I'm thankful, more than anything, to be able to spend my time as a storyteller and make these stories. Yeah, so that's where I am right now, and there was a lot of ethical dilemmas along the way with this film from the start, and long before I made this film, I thought I could go out and maybe make a film and edit it and screen it in like 10 weeks. And now here we are, and it's 8 years ago since I started filming with Mikal, and this project demanded time, and I'm very glad that we had. It is a privilege to be able to spend so many years on a project as well, but it needed it. And now Mikal is 19 and a half, and I feel like I'm standing together with the family now and showing it to the world, and it's been a blessing, and I've learned a lot.
Well, I'll say it's a great documentary film. And again, the components that go into that are your commitment, your access, your being able to blend in enough to be able to create these moments, to be a part of these moments that we see in the film. And I don't know how much the photography part of your career sort of
Mm.
factored in, being able to kind of be still, if you will, in these situations that we see and be there to document them. But I sincerely hope that you continue to pursue whatever you want in terms of making films or taking pictures or whatever that might be, because you have a great eye and a great sensibility as well. So thank you.
I did this film. This is my first film, and I made it with the only way that I could, which is as a photographer. The way I place myself, where the empathy lies, how the framing is, that I only use available light. I used my photography, I used my still camera to make the film, and it's a lot of it's intuitive work when it comes to the form of the photographs in the film, and it's all, you can call it like a dance with light. The light is so important to convey both, to convey the story and the emotions. I try to use that as much as I can, and yeah, and the technical part is not what was difficult in this situation. It is to get to know the family and to go through what they go through together with them. That took most of my thoughts, and then the technical will just follow after that. And I try to use both my brain and my heart when I work, and I'm just, again, thankful to have had the opportunity to make a film.
If you decide to move forward with other projects, I certainly hope that you'll find your way back here and spend some time with us. The conversation was, thank you so very much for your time today.
Thanks a lot, Mike. Thank you.
You're welcome. We've been speaking with Monica Strømdahl, and she is the director of this terrific documentary film, Flophouse America, Seek It Out. Thank you, Monica.
Thank you.
You have been listening to Cinemaphile with Mike Kaspar, the place where you will hear from the best in independent documentary and foreign filmmakers. Please check out our previous interviews as well as upcoming interviews and special programming by going to cinemaphilepod.com. We are also available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube, searchable under Cinemaphile with Mike Kaspar. Until next time, thank you for listening.